Uh, my apologies. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you.
I'm appearing on behalf of the amicus, the We the People, Arizona Alliance, and Maricopa County Libertarian Party.
Thank you. Courtroom assistant, who are you representing?
International Signal for Turnoff Youth. Brian Flem, I represent Cyber Ninjas. I will be in the background today.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the audio conferencing center. Please enter a conference ID followed by pound. If you're the meeting organizer, press star now.
Counsel, can you please place your speaker on mute? Counsel, I'm going to let the court know we are ready. Court is now in session. The Honorable Daniel G. Martin presiding.
Thank you, Amber. Sorry, everyone, for the feedback. Can everyone hear me okay? Please nod your heads if that is in fact the case. Good, I see lots of heads nodding. Nice to see you all this morning. Cami, we will show this as the time set for oral argument on defendant Cyber Ninja's April 25, 2021 motion to file ex parte Ninja's policies and procedures, which the court ordered Cyber Ninja to produce by minute entry dated April 23, 2021, and which Cyber Ninja's filed with the court as Exhibit D to its April 25, 2021 brief. Consideration of plaintiff's request for the entry of a temporary restraining order. Before we proceed further, let me take appearances for the record. I understand there may be a motion for substitution. I will address that momentarily, but first.
Good morning, Your Honor. Rupali Desai, Andy Gayona, Kristen Yost, Jim Barton, and Jacqueline Mendez Soto on behalf of plaintiff Arizona Democratic Party and Supervisor Steve Gallardo in his individual capacity. And I will inform the court that a client representative, Charlie Fisher, is on the line this morning.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Desai. Morning to your co-counsel. Next, for the Senate defendants.
Good morning, Your Honor. Corey Langhoffer and Thomas Basile for Karen Canton, Warren.
For defendant
Bendor and Emma Conradi for Secretary of State Katie Hobbs.
Thank you, Mr. Bendor. For the First Amendment Coalition of Arizona, Inc.
Good morning, Your Honor. Daniel Barr and Samantha Burke for the First Amendment Coalition of Arizona.
Thank you. And Mr. LaRue, would you like to announce on behalf of your client?
Certainly, Your Honor. Thank you. Joseph LaRue, Deputy County Attorney, here for County Attorney Alistair Adele, and we are simply here if the court has any questions for the county.
Thank you, Mr. LaRue. Appreciate that. All right, turning to defendant Cyber Ninjas, Inc., counsel of record. Mr. Colladin?
Your Honor, Alexander Colladin. With me, Brian Blem. We were informed last night that Willencheck and Bartless would be taking over as litigation counsel on that matter, and on that basis, we would move to withdraw as counsel.
All right, and I see Mr. Wolf on my screen. Mr. Wolf, would you like to announce?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Jordan Wolf with the firm Willencheck and Bartless, proposed counsel for defendants Cyber Ninjas Incorporated.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. And I am not sure if everyone is aware, I just received within the last 5 minutes an emergency motion from Willencheck and Bartless hearing. Mr. Wolf, if that motion is denied, are you prepared to argue the merits on behalf of Cyber Ninjas?
Your Honor, we are not. I'm not prepared to argue on the merits on behalf of Cyber Ninjas.
To reconcile that with your motion to withdraw.
Your Honor, that's perhaps best addressed in an ex parte conference.
Well, it's absolutely necessary. If you're telling me that there are grounds for withdrawal, I will grant that, but I will tell you, Mr. Wolf, your motion to continue is denied because while I recognize your client's ability to retain counsel of its choice, the exigencies of this matter will not allow. I will allow for the withdrawal of Mr. Colladin and Mr. Blem and Mr. Viskovich, but if you're not prepared to argue today, that is going to put your client, I believe, in a difficult position, but that is the circumstance in which we find ourselves. If you would like to be heard, feel free.
Yeah, Your Honor, from my understanding, it's the purpose of our the substitution here is made clear, and it's to the point that if the continuance was not granted, then Mr. Culloden would be making the argument here. So I'll defer to Mr. Culloden and to ask the court to deny his motion to withdraw until after the hearing.
Your Honor, I feel that I cannot address this point outside of an ex parte conference.
All right, give me a moment, everyone. Mr. Culloden, I believe that I appreciate the position that you are in. Mr. Wolf, I recognize the position. Here are the court's rulings. The request for an ex parte discussion is denied. The motion to withdraw is granted. The motion for substitution of counsel is granted. And Mr. Wolf, you're not up to speed, but you are just going to have to do the very best that you can under the circumstances. Mr. Culloden, Mr. Viskovich, and Mr. Blem, I'm going to ask that you disconnect from this hearing, but by all means, feel free to log and observe the proceedings from there.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, and Cammie, just so that the record is clear, we will show specific orders of Wilenchek and Bartnes as counsel and denying the and Bartnes. All right, everyone, as was the case yesterday, please remember we do have a court reporter taking today's record, so you will all need to speak slowly. And remember that we will need to take a break in about 45 minutes so that Robin can give her fingers a rest. Before we turn to the argument, are there any updates or agreements to report? I'd be particularly interested to know if counsel had been able to reach any agreements on a protective order. Ms. Desai?
Your Honor, I have been in communications with Mr. Langhofer, but there has not been any agreement that has been reached by the parties at this point with respect to a protective order or a resolution. The other item I would note is we filed with the court this morning a proposed form